It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. To be prepared for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. Associate with men of good quality, if you esteem your own reputation, for it is better to be alone than in bad company. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to light. Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone, and let your hand give in proportion to your purse. It is absolutely necessary for me to have persons that can think for me, as well as execute orders. The Constitution is the guide which I never will abandon. I hope I shall possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. We should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors and for the purpose of profiting by dear-bought experience. There is nothing so likely to produce peace as to be well prepared to meet an enemy. Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair. The rest is in the hands of God. To persevere in one's duty and be silent is the best answer to calumny. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and to alter their constitutions of government. Arbitrary power is most easily established on the ruins of liberty, abused to licentiousness. My first wish is to see this plague of mankind, war, banished from the earth. Mankind, when left to themselves, are unfit for their own government. Experience teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. Real men despise battle, but will never run from it. To promote literature in this rising empire and to encourage the arts have ever been amongst the warmest wishes of my heart. Let us therefore animate and encourage each other and show the whole world that a freeman contending for liberty on his own ground is superior to any slavish mercenary on earth. To anticipate and prevent disasters is the best method of preserving peace. Worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. It is substantially true that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. A free people ought not only to be armed, but disciplined, to which end a uniform and well-digested plan is requisite. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force, like fire. It is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Decision-making, like coffee, that needs a cooling process. A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? The great rule of conduct for us in regard to foreign nations is in extending our commercial relations and to have with them as little political connection as possible. The marvel of all history is the patience with which men and women submit to burdens unnecessarily laid upon them by their governments. Overgrown military establishments are under any form of government, inauspicious to liberty, and are to be regarded as particularly hostile to republican liberty. We should never despair. Our situation has been uncommonly dark before, and it has changed for the better, so I trust it will again. A good moral character is the first essential in a man, and that the habits contracted at your age are generally indelible, and your conduct here may stamp your character through life. It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, to be grateful for His benefits, and humbly to implore His protection and favor. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. Let your discourse with men of business be short and comprehensive. Nothing is more essential than that permanent, inveterate antipathies against particular nations and passionate attachments for others should be excluded. The establishment of our new government seemed to be the last great experiment for promoting human happiness. Let us unite in imploring the supreme ruler of nations to spread his holy protection over these United States. No punishment, in my opinion, is too great for the man who can build his greatness upon his country's ruin. I walk on untrodden ground. There is scarcely any part of my conduct which may not hereafter be drawn into precedent. True friendship is a plant of slow growth, and must undergo and withstand the shocks of adversity before it is entitled to the appellation. A nation which indulges toward another an habitual hatred or an habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. To speak ill of others is a dishonest way of praising ourselves. Nothing is often a good remedy against slander. It is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. Great part of that order which reigns among mankind is not the effect of government. The propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained. Let the reins of government then be embraced and held with a steady hand, and every violation of the Constitution be reprehended. Peace with all the world is my sincere wish. I am sure it is our true policy, and am persuaded it is the ardent desire of the government. Against the insidious wiles of foreign influence, I conjure you to believe me, fellow citizens. The jealousy of a free people ought to be constantly awake. The preservation of the sacred fire of liberty and the destiny of the Republican model of government are justly considered as deeply, perhaps as finally staked, on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.